Hello, everyone. Welcome to Adventures in Who, your local Gibby Gabby lark about extra sweaty episode today. I'm Martin.
I'm Tash.
And yeah, it's hot as balls, so I'm probably going to be like visual YouTube viewers are probably going to see me doing this a lot of because it's fucking disgusting out here, right? it's gross. Everything's bad.
Too hot. The planet's burning.
Yeah, it is burning, and it's me suffering for it. Not everyone else, me.
Just you? You're the only one that's suffering from the planet burning.
It's just
the
me.
only one.
We haven't got any news. I did do a quick search. There wasn't any news to talk about today. So we get the pleasure of just jumping right on in to the Season 1, Series 14 finale. The big one. The one that promised to answer our questions. 99% of the questions was the term that was thrown around before this aired. Empire of Death. And we're going to go through it. We're going to see, were we satisfied? Were we not? What was all the fuss about? But first things first, synopsis of the episode. The Doctor and Ruby and Mel are left to fight against Sutek after he's unleashed his plan, taking out all of the universe except for some people, I suppose. From there, the Doctor has to go seek out someone to save the universe with some help. Oh, Tash has vanished. Tash is gone. Internet was like, no, I don't want to do that.
I was just like, okay, bye.
Bye. I just suddenly got a reminder of what we were talking about and was like, I want to go now.
I was just like, oh my god.
Tash tried to run away, everyone.
I didn't try to run away. I didn't. I was here the whole time. You ran away.
No.
Yeah?
No, that's not what happened. That's false. Incorrect.
I was here.
The recording says otherwise. Where was I? Oh, yes. We're talking about what was happening in Empire of Death. Doctor, Mel, Ruby, they're out in space. The universe is collapsing, falling apart, but there's some, or just the one survivor who holds the key. A very kind woman, as she was described by Russell T. Davies, has got the key to saving the universe and putting a stop to Sutek's Empire of Death. I think the best way we approach talking about this is we just go through chronologically, because I think there's a lot of potential for tangents and just spiraling out of control, trying to figure what the fuck was going on with this episode. So we kick off with something I did genuinely quite like. I liked that the episode just picked up directly from where it left off, because sometimes with these two-part finales, what will happen is you'll have the cliffhanger ending, and then the episode next to it will open with 10 months later or something like that. And I'm like, you get out of your cliffhanger by just skipping ahead. No. So I liked that the episode did just pick straight up from where it left off. Visuals are really good across the board in the episode, I will say. I think it's visually very good. And I liked the scale of the dust coming in. Like, it felt like a genuine like disaster movie scale thing. However, the first warning sign for me where this episode is concerned, when literally everybody died, when literally everyone crumbles to dust, I physically felt my heart go to the bottom of my stomach, because I knew from that point onwards the rest of the episode was going to be the Doctor running around going, where's that reset button? Where have I put that? Where did I drop my reset button? I need to find that right now. We've done this fucking rodeo so many times. Oh my god, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe that this is he's just plagiarizing himself. He's just plagiarizing himself at this point. And I was like, calm down. We can hope. Maybe there'll be something.
And you totally remain calm through the rest of the episode, right?
Yes, completely calm. Completely calm. I was like, maybe there'll be consequences to what's happening here. Maybe some people won't come back. Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. So that was the first warning sign for me in that initial kind of opening segment of sandstorm, people dying, the earth coming to its end. How were you feeling on those first sort of 5 minutes as that was unfolding?
I mean... It kills my soul so much. Yeah, I would say like the visuals really cool. Nice that it picked up right where it left off. Got very confused as to why a child had guns.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I've got that note as well. 13-year-old gun with heavy machine guns.
Yeah. I like the guns. Just fucking get them out of there. Like the guns haven't worked. What is with the guns this season?
I mean, I appreciate the gag that Kate was like, "Oh, one of these days, one of these days it will work." But still, fucking Morris with 2 heavy machine guns. That was like, what the fuck is this? And then fucking Rose.
It was so wrong.
Rose in the background, fucking playing, was it Bejeweled or whatever the fuck on the iPad? I was like, what is she doing? What is she doing back there? Why are there kids in this situation? Who allowed this to happen? I didn't realize my criticism last week was going to come to fruition in such a
heavy way this week.
Yeah.
The graphics were cool. Like from the get-go, the minute this started happening, I was just like plagued by questions.
But that's okay. And at the start of the episode, it's okay to have questions. Like, you're like, okay, we're at the beginning. Let's see how this goes. It's okay to have questions at the start. Maybe not the question of, okay, I guess Kate willingly gave may they be a genius or whatever, a literal child heavy machine guns in that segue is morally quite questionable, I would say.
Yep.
Literally my first notes about the episode are 13-year-old with gun, everyone died equals no stakes.
Yep.
Because I know what that means if everyone dies. From there, as this storm rages on, the Doctor makes their way back to Unit Tower. Kate gets, quote, killed, and Carla gets, quote, killed, etc., etc., etc. The Doctor reunites with Ruby in the time window. Before that, actually, I should mention, obviously, we've got Candy and Mrs. Flood, and Mrs. Flood does some more cock teasing about who she really is, and still at this point, it's like, could be fucking anyone, mate. I don't know if I really care anymore, honestly, like, based on how this is.
Seemingly not tied to the current situation happening. Seemingly is like, dang, I was gonna have so much fun with you. Yeah. Also foiled by Sutek arriving. Like Mrs. Flood just gives up and is like, all right,
I guess I'm out.
I guess I'll hug you. Hug Candy out.
I guess she's really putting stock in the Doctor reversing the situation. It's like, it's really
maybe.
And I don't know, it's weird. I mean, I guess it's ambiguous for reasons in that we don't really know if she's villain or not. Like, it seems to swing backwards and forwards, but the whole thing about I will knock down his gates in my true name and all that seemed very kind of villainous.
Just why? I'm just over the Pantheon situation. I'm just over it. I feel like it's never gone well. Russell clearly does not have the competence to do it, and I don't even care anymore. I'm not holding my opinion back. I don't care. Just stop with the Pantheon shit. Like, it clearly didn't work. And it scares me because there's an entire another season. Please fucking stop this now.
This is the thing. I don't know where the Pantheon goes from here. If you put Sutek as the top of the Pantheon, which is what this episode did, it was like, I'm the top of the totem pole, and obviously we'll get there, he's dispatched of. Where do you go from there? I mean, because obviously, as we've learned from this very finale, Russell has that, he sees finale and goes, well, it's got to be enormous. It's got to be the biggest we've ever been before. And, you know, that's been his downfall more than once in the past. And so, I have no idea. It just puts the fear of God into me, how utterly ridiculous it could potentially get if there's more of this to come. I'm more than open to be proved wrong. Like, I really am. Hopefully I am proved wrong. I would love that.
I just don't trust him anymore.
I think that's fair. After this episode, I think that's fair.
Pantheon shit.
It's kind of what we were saying way back when we were talking about devil's cord is that if you're going to do godlike villains, I think the appropriate way of dealing with that is you sprinkle them in.
Yep.
Like you don't maybe base your whole season arc or seasons arc on it, because it's like a few things in this season. It begins to dilute how powerful they seem.
Yeah, they're not as much of a threat.
Yeah.
And you're just like, they seem to be beat in not really witty ways either. Like their defeat.
Oh, we'll get there, don't you worry.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even just talking about this episode, but yeah.
When we get back to the time window, the Doctor does something really weird. The moment he arrives back in the time window, he sends Sullivan out to her death. I don't I don't understand this whatsoever. Like, the Doctor runs in, tells Sullivan to go somewhere. Like, where's she gonna go? Where's she gonna go? You see what's happening. Like, everyone's dead. It doesn't matter where you go. You're dead. So he just sends her off because, the scene no longer requires you. Why was she there at all? Why was she? Why even have that character? It makes no sense whatsoever. Like, Ruby could have just come down here on her own. She knows where it is. Whatever. That was just a weird thing I caught onto, and I was like, what the fuck was that about? And then we get to the memory TARDIS. We get the memory TARDIS fulfilled. So Ruby channels all her memories about the TARDIS, and it creates the memory TARDIS, which we see in the Tales of the TARDIS stuff. That's where all of that stuff is based, and we get to see how it actually comes into being. And I like the idea of the memory TARDIS, and I liked all the dialogue in the previous episode about what is a memory of a time machine if time is memory and all of that. I kind of liked all of that stuff, but this is a nitpick. This is the nittiest of nitpicks. I don't quite understand why the memory TARDIS is an amalgamation of all the different TARDISes if it's just Ruby remembering it. Because obviously Ruby has no idea about that other stuff, unless she's been rooting around all the different rooms off screen this whole time, where she's seen all this stuff. But
I mean, we don't even know how much time. I still didn't get an answer for how much time it even fucking passed. So we have no idea how much time
we don't know.
We decided to explore.
Yeah.
And I also just I feel like from the other times that she's asked questions, it doesn't seem like she knows everything. So it doesn't seem like she would remember everything. But also, you're telling me, I think this moment is where actually I think really broke me, and I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
I was like, this is going to go really, really bad, and I'm going to have a lot of big emotions to it, which I didn't want to have in a negative way. More so than I think I've ever had, ever.
Yeah.
Watching anything Doctor Who related. But you're telling me that the other TARDIS that is just fucking, I don't even know, some amount of miles away, David Tennant's TARDIS, it's still out there, wasn't going to do anything to come back? You can't, and Russell did that. You're just telling me that I don't even care if the Doctor's not quick enough to go, right? You're telling me that other fucking TARDIS that is just chilling in the Noble's yard isn't smart enough to detect that a major threat is coming and kick into action? That is, I don't believe that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it 1 second. If fucking that Doctor's still out there, and even if that Doctor wasn't quick enough to run and think on his feet and come and help, right? I don't believe that the TARDIS wouldn't have done something, wouldn't have understood the threat that was happening.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It felt like there is that question of, couldn't we have just used that other TARDIS that's knocking around? Is that not because that would have been a clever way of being that's why we set all of that up. That's why we have that. But now in this current moment, there's 3 TARDISes in existence. Apparently. Look, there's options to this. 1, either the 14th Doctor and maybe Donna are off-world at this point while this is happening, but it's also happening in other parts of the universe at the same time, so okay, whatever, I guess, I don't know. Or, like you say, they are on Earth right now, and maybe they just get caught in the dust before they're able to do anything, but that doesn't explain how the other TARDIS itself doesn't do anything, or can it do anything? We don't really know. It's a bunch of unanswered questions, and it's easily avoidable ones, by the way, if we just had a normal regeneration. It was
you just fucking wrapped something up.
Yeah.
God damn it, Davies, you did this. This is your fucking brainchild. Just wrap it up real fucking quick. God, like, and it's the fact that we don't even question it when we all come, everything gets undone. Are we still just like, okay, so like the other doctors,
Where's he at? Where's that fucker at, huh? What's he doing? Like, you know, if I was the 15th Doctor, if I was the 15th Doctor and all this was playing out, knowing that the other Doctor's hanging about, I would have some questions like, what the hell were you doing? Well, this was all going down.
Yep.
I know you're meant to be chilling out and stuff, but still.
Even if we're gonna say that the Doctor is more human now and that humans make mistakes, I still don't believe that the TARDIS wouldn't have done something. The TARDIS acts on its own accord so many fucking times.
It does do that on occasion.
So many fucking times.
Yeah. It is that constant conundrum within the show where you establish that the TARDIS is some kind of sentience. It might not be a sentience we necessarily understand, but certainly some kind of consciousness or sentience is going on within it. And I mean, I liked, like, part of what I liked about the whole two-parter is the setup that what happens when the TARDIS betrays the Doctor and is seduced by evil. Like, that's an interesting idea and a concept, but when you've got another version of the TARDIS sitting around somewhere, and then you've got this memory TARDIS sitting around as your sort of get out of jail free card for that situation, it's like, what does it matter? Nothing matters. Nothing matters in this episode.
No, it's just Davies honestly is like became his own worst enemy in every fucking which way. All of the things that don't make sense beyond just like the reasonable doubt of Doctor Who, like things aren't going to always make sense. It's a universe we will never, like, as humans, fully comprehend. Like, Davies wrote these things in though, like and didn't even think to answer or care to answer. Like, I don't know.
It's frustrating because, like, you wanna be open to, okay, there's things here that could get explored further in the next season.
Yeah.
However, and I don't know what to believe anymore, but when Russell was like, where this finale is concerned, he was like, hey, 99% of what all the things we've set up will be answered by the end of this season. And then I'm assuming the 1% is Mrs. Flood stuff and the boss stuff, whatever that might be the same thing. And we know Ruby's coming back next season, so obviously that family dynamic that we're left with is going to be continued in some way. But as for the big mysteries, I feel like he's given us what he was going to give us. And it's like, okay, nothing mattered. That's my biggest thing. No, nothing mattered.
Like, you could just completely erase this entire season from the Doctor Who verse and be just fine. Like, there's truly, like, that sucks to say, like, there was nothing important happened because it all just fucking turned to dust in the end, literally, like, and figuratively. But, like, I don't know. You
press that big old button.
I feel like no. It's not even an unsatisfactory answer when I'm saying this. It's just a lot. I don't know. I feel like he answered maybe 10% of the questions and created 150% more questions, honestly. That, like, yeah, it's not even that I have an issue with the answer, it's just like the lead up to the answer. Yeah.
No, you're right. We'll keep going. We'll get to all this. So we get a scene where Sutek and the Doctor finally kind of confront one another face to face. Gabriel Wolf killing it. He's doing a great job as Sutek. I can't fault that. Even if he is just a big dog throughout the whole episode in one kind of position on top of the TARDIS, which, you know, when we get the reveal that here's the thing. I don't mind the plot line of Sutek has been attached to the TARDIS this amount of time. It's funny. There's a bajillion memes that have come from it ever since because it's funny to think about. Mainly because the visual we're given is he's literally sat on the roof of the TARDIS the whole time. Yeah.
It's like he's like a fanboy of Doctor Who and is watching, like, wanted a front row view of like all that Doctor Who does.
Yep. And then I just
he was just excited to watch the Doctor do his thing, and it's just like fucking snacking on some Scooby snacks, you know?
It's just your brain instantly goes to, oh, when the TARDIS fell on its side that one time, was his cloak stuck underneath the TARDIS and he couldn't get it off? And then it brings up questions like, wouldn't fucking Idris and fucking the wife of the Doctor, whatever the episode's called, have said something to him like, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's a big dog on the roof." just so you know. It does bring up all those kind of continuity questions. So I did feel like it would have been better if the setup to that, we'd seen him like more so infect the TARDIS in some way, rather than him just sitting on the roof. Like we like got an idea that he's been lurking and hiding in there somewhere, opposed to just
forever.
Yeah, like the visual is goofy, and it doesn't really. Yeah, it just like I say, it just builds the pathway to the bajillion memes that have been generated from it. It's also set up that this is where the Susan thing comes from. Like, he finds the Doctor's past, he does some rifling through the Doctor's history whilst he's in the TARDIS and learns about him. And I like this as well. I like the fact that Sutekh is this petty about the fact that this fucker threw me into the time vortex. You bet your ass I'm going to do something to piss him off when I come back. I'm going to dig that nail in deep. I legitimately do like that part of it, of him being that kind of petty about it. So I do like that. However, obviously the whole, the Susan thing is like, I guess it builds up into something that maybe the Doctor might do something about possibly next season. Maybe that's a thing that feels like, okay, maybe he's acknowledging this part about himself, and maybe that will go somewhere. Maybe. But yeah, as in terms of Sutekh's plan, I've seen people criticize it. I've seen people meme on it. I didn't mind Sutekh's plan. It felt like something, okay, I can see Sutekh doing this. It does bring up questions. It does bring up memes. It does, and all the silliness. But it is almost like the plan is too good. Like, the plan is so good, it forces Russell into a corner in terms of how he writes the rest of the episode. Because effectively Sutekh wins. And then he has to come up with some convoluted way to be like, well, how do we get out of this situation? I know. Sutekh is absolutely confounded by who Ruby's mum is for some reason. It's like, why does he care? Why does he care about this? He's the god of death.
Fuck knows why I even cared.
He wants everyone to die. That's his thing. That's his motive. That's all he gives a shit about. And he's like, oh no, shit, I need to know who that fucking cloaked woman was. God damn, that's gonna annoy me.
Like, you can't tell me that there isn't a doctor that already went to the time period where you could have seen the mom, or a doctor that went back in time that at some point where they could have seen the mom. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, it makes sense why Ruby as a human in that time and period couldn't find her mom, her birth mom.
I can buy that.
That makes sense. It doesn't make sense how a fucking god of death
couldn't.
With literally so much information. And probably could have more fucking, what are they, vessels out in the world. Like, I don't believe it. I don't believe that if you can go and put Susan in every single time, like play storyline, etc. Like, I just don't buy it. I don't buy any of it. I think Sutekh, like, as a concept was really cool. I think the acting was really good. I think, like, the pettiness fits in per Sutekh. Like, it feels like an obsessed. Look, this is gonna be a wild comparison, and I don't really mean it to like the full extent, but it's the thing that's popping in my brain right now. Like Missy and the Doctor. How Missy acted towards the Doctor as like a best friend, but like still absolutely wanted to destroy everything that the Doctor stood for, but is the Doctor's biggest fan and best friend, and truly like still cares about the Doctor. I felt like Sutekh was like that. Sutekh was like the #1 Doctor Who fanboy that's like, I need a front row vision to see what this is all about, but I'm still going to be petty about it because I still kind of got beef and we got to continue that beef. Like, that's what it felt like to me, and like it's believable, The rest of it just
it's like when we first meet Sutekh in Pyramids of Mars. Like, his one thing that is annoying him the most is the fact that that Horus superglued him to that chair. Like, that's the thing that has pissed him off the most, is that that one motherfucker beat me. So it makes perfect sense in this story for him to be like, now this asshole beat me, so I'm going to take it out on him. So it tracks completely that he would be that petty. There's a bit in that scene where the Doctor and Sutekh are having their spat, they're talking, getting up to speed, having some exposition. We see some little clips of Pyramids of Mars and Tom Baker, because you may not have seen the story from 1975, new audience, so here's your refresher.
Which I thought was cool. I thought it was cool to, like, in the mess that is the TARDIS, incorporate
Mm-hmm.
this screen that Ruby could watch
Yeah.
previous adventures on and be like, oh, okay, that's what happened.
I'm just gonna sit and watch
just
Doctor
gonna
Who
watch
for
the telly.
I did like. Well, it's twofold. There's a bit where Ncuti's line at the end just before they depart. It's kind of half and half. I liked the ending part where he says, "Have you ever felt so alive?" to Sutek, and doesn't it feel good? Like that's like that feels like a really doctory thing to say to that particular villain. So I really liked that. However, the bit before that, and we were kind of umming and ahhing about this last week where we were talking about the trailer, where he's like, "I'll defeat you with both my hearts of the last of the Time Lord." There was, I don't know, I don't want to point the finger at Ncuti for this, but I did not believe that line delivery, and I don't know if it's just because it's a really hard delivery bit of dialogue to get out of your mouth and sound like you mean it, or
it was a bad line.
Yeah, or if it was a rushed like setup for the shot, and we just like, we need to get this shot and we just need to get it done. I have no idea, but there was something about that particular part of the dialogue where I was like, I do not buy this, and it might be part of my bias of the fact that I'm kind of over I'm the last of the Time Lords and etc etc etc. I'm kind of over that. So that might play into it as well in terms of why that line felt a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like it's just not even true, really. Like with the timeless child shit, we don't even know. Like, we don't even know what you are. And I'm kind of I'm just over the line. Just let it go.
Yeah. Let it go.
Just let it go.
Let it go. Be like Elsa. All right. So once from there, the memory TARDIS and our team take off in a weird choice in that we've got this very whimsical music playing as we're seeing the Earth literally fucking disintegrate from the inside. I get it. It's like, hey, the memory TARDIS is working. Whimsical music. It's doing all the things. And then we get a shot of death dust covering the Earth and we have whimsical music playing.
Or just watching it, just being like, look, the Earth's dying. You know, let's just take a seat in this TARDIS that we don't know is fully functional. So it's like, it's a risk even opening that door to me. I'm like, what if they're like, you don't even know if it's fully functional. You're just going to open it up in space and be like, wow, it's going to be fine. Like, no, it's not going to be fine. You have no idea what is functional about this TARDIS or not.
I mean, I guess they have no choice. Is that like, we got to do what we got to do, but
you don't need to open the door and be like, wow, the Earth's dying. It's a given.
It does feel like it's like it feels like the episode is too worried that it's going too far into a sense of dread or like disaster, so it wants to lighten the tone a little bit. So we have them do some funny run around the memory TARDIS and wrap things up and play some whimsical music. I get what it is, but sometimes, you know what, it's okay for the show to lean into the dread of the situation. So,
especially when it's called Empire of Death.
Yeah.
And you have a literal death god. Okay, to let us panic a little bit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at the memory TARDIS. It's a cool set. It's a cool set to have, and I'm glad that they kept it, because I think originally in the story, this memory TARDIS makes more sense this way, honestly, that the memory TARDIS was going to collapse in on itself once it gone one trip too far or whatever. But at least they kept it, and they can do more Tales of the TARDIS shenanigans and, you know, have good episodes of Doctor Who to talk about it.
Good episode.
But no, yeah, it's a cool set. It's fun. It's got a bunch of member berries in there, and you know, it's literally fan service the prop. And I'm sure there's probably people who've never watched the show before who might have been watching and being like, what is all this? what is all of this? I mean, my biggest hope for that is that maybe it makes some people go back, oh, maybe I'll go check out where that comes from or why that's important, and hopefully, and I'm guessing that's what Russell was hoping for as well, that it would make people go back and go check out the other things.
Homage.
Yeah.
I do love how when they're watching the Pyramid of Mars thing, Russell just had to fit one more excerpt in there of like cultural appropriation.
Oh yes.
So, I was like, Russell is doubling down.
I was debating whether to bring this up or not, So, but
yeah, it's just something that I was like, that's a very Russell thing to do.
Yes, it is a very Russell thing to do. Since we're here, we'll talk about it. Here's the thing: the cultural appropriation line. I know what he's going for here. In this context, he's going for, like, because Ruby asks, "What was with all the Egyptian stuff where Sutekh is involved?" And he says cultural appropriation. So the line insinuates that Sutekh is culturally appropriating the Egyptians. That's what the line insinuates. However, if you're like me and you've seen the show, the line does not read that way, because in the show the Egyptians got their culture from the Assyrians. So the line reads as the Egyptians culturally appropriating aliens, which just sounds like a weird thing for the Doctor to be doing. Or it's like a meta-textual thing that he's going for, that those pesky 1970s writers writing Egyptian aliens. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it
felt funny to like include it in that moment. And I love the representation. Like, I'm all for representation, and like, I think you and I are also pretty aligned politically and stuff like that. And I love to see it. I feel like one thing, I just feel like Rose was included in these past 2 episodes, like kind of just as like the totem trans person. Like, they didn't even really do anything with Rose too much, and it just felt like including just to say that you included. And I would have liked to see like some more from Rose, like if you want to throw representation in there, throw it in a way that like is also adding to the story. Otherwise people are going to constantly use it as an excuse to like get wokeness out of Doctor Who and all this other stuff.
Yeah, she I think she has like one line in this episode towards the end. Yeah, it felt a bit weird, like, especially since like last week I was kind of liking her and Ruby bouncing off one another. I was kind of enjoying that, and I was like, okay, well, hopefully we'll get some more of that this week as well. But no, she just dies off along with everyone else. Maybe there's a problem with maybe having too many people. like I don't want to. It feels like, I don't want to like say this because it feels like mean to both people in some way, but maybe the story should have either have had Rose or Mel in it. It should have been one or the other.
That's fair.
So that one of them has that role within the story. But the only problem with having Rose do it is that obviously she's 16. So it would be a bit weird to have her be undercover and doing all of that. So it's like, well, we can't have her doing that. So I guess she's just going to be kind of working here. And then obviously if Mel's in the story, you want to have Mel be more prominent because there's the history that ties in with that. And I don't know. Yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame that Rose is barely involved in the episode. And it feels like she should. I mean, hopefully she'll be back some more and maybe we'll get more. But yeah, I think that's fair. It's fair to be like, maybe give her a bit more to do if you're going to bring her in.
I don't know how to word it. I just know that there's so many people out there that are close-minded that are going to use everything that happened this season, just as they did with Jodie being a female doctor. Everything that happened this season to use it as an excuse to not include that stuff moving forward, and that would be tragic. And we've seen it happen. And I just we want representation. We care about it. It's really important. And it's tough when shit writing becomes the reason that things aren't incorporated again. I'll move on.
No, you're fair, because it plays into, I think it plays into your frustration of this episode. Is that it's like you were saying last week, you were like, I want to champion this season because it feels like they are trying to make the effort to be more progressive and to be more representative and all of those things, but none of that stuff matters if you haven't got the storylines to hold it up and the character development to make it worthwhile and to mean something, and all of that is valid. Like, someone who might be listening to this, who's watching the show, is wanting the show to champion that stuff, but do it in a way where everyone can get on board with it. And the way you get everyone on board with it is if you just tell good stories. Ultimately, like if you want people to be on board with those choices, then tell them the good stories that they want to see, and the rest will follow. Honestly,
yeah.
We digress.
Sorry.
No, I know this was going to happen to both of us during this, where we just got.
It could be a lot worse by this point. Okay. I'm holding back a lot.
So we're in the TARDIS. The Doctor's kind of explaining the situation with how Sutek's done what he's did, and he brings up the 73 yards thing as a way to sort of tie in 73 yards the episode, but not really.
It was a dumb callback to something that didn't even matter.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like it doesn't play into that episode at all. It's just, I guess it kind of says, oh, that's why this future echo of Ruby was 73 yards away, because of the perception filter or whatever, and that's what it latched on. It doesn't actually explain why the Doctor vanished or any of that side of it. No. it just sort of explains why they were 73
yards. Or how Ruby
yards.
could even really be there.
Yeah, or it doesn't.
It explains literally nothing.
It doesn't really. It's just a weird callback that doesn't really fold back into anything.
Nope.
But whatever, that was there. That's where we get our explanation as to what Sutek's been doing and how he's done it, how he's dispensed all these Susans around the universe, wherever the Doctor's been, where I got a bit confused as to, was a Susan being born on the planet he's been landing on, or created, however you want to envision it? Like, when he comes to explain how the Earth situation unfolds, he says two things that seem to contradict each other. One, that a Susan is created every time I've landed there, and then two, I've landed there so often it's become such a focus of power, she became Susan Triad. And it feels like you're saying two completely different things there. Are there a bajillion Susans on Earth, or is there just one Susan who has become super smart and, like, because of how many times he's landed there? I don't know, because then he goes on to say it's happening throughout time. Like, the Earth is dying in 1066, it's dying in 1999, it's dying in 2005, because these are the years that I've landed in. And it becomes very muddled. I don't really know what the actual situation is. I felt like it was just, if you could have just left it as, sure, Susan isn't this weird acolyte that, an echo that Sutek is leaving behind every time they leave a planet, and that's all you have to do.
Yep.
That's it. Like, I would have been completely fine with that. That Sutek is using the TARDIS technology to give this echo of this human being everywhere the Doctor is going, to use them as a weapon when he is ready to unleash said weapon. Fine. It's a little bit weird, sci-fi, YE, whatever you want, but he's a god. The TARDIS is the TARDIS. Fine, I buy it. But it does get a bit weird and confusing, and, like, what is actually happening?
Every answer
comes
just
with a
provided,
question.
so many more questions. Like, 99% my ass. 99% my ass, Russell.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It's frustrating, to be sure. We also then get into an explanation as to, because Mel says, well, you've not been everywhere, so there must be some places that are safe, because you've not been to everywhere. And then he says, like, they fall into the pattern or something like that, which doesn't really explain anything. It's just like, I've been landing all over the place, and then that creates a pattern, and the death wave just emanates, I guess, from that pattern somehow. Don't really know what that means. Again, goes along with the Susan Triad, like, how does that actually work? And just go with it. Just go with it. It's Doctor Who evil plan. It's fine. don't think about it. It's it. But
no questions. Just go with the flow.
I choose. You know what? There's other things in this episode. Fine. I'll go with it. If you say that's what's happening, that's what's happening. Absolutely fine. I don't know. I mean, it would have just been a good way of setting up, oh, there are places with life on that we can maybe utilize to fight back in some way. But it seems to make the point that, no, everything's dying. Everything is going. That seems to be the full stop, which, I don't know. Again, writing yourself into a corner into how you actually resolve this whole thing. And then ultimately that scene culminates in the Doctor blaming himself for all of this taking place, which, fair enough. It seems like a Doctor-y thing to do. Like, I took him to all these places, I gave him the means to do this, even though it's not his fault at all, but it does seem like a Doctor-y thing to do, to blame himself for allowing this to happen, to not notice that this was going on beforehand, which, fair, that is a fair question. Like, how did the Doctor maybe not notice this? I guess the perception filter works against him in this instance, I don't know. And then Ncuti lets out a big old scream into the universe. So yeah, how were you feeling? How were you feeling by you got to this point? You had your explanation as to what the evil plan is. It's unfolded, and the Doctor blaming himself for it. How were you feeling?
I think I blacked it out. Okay, honestly though, like in this moment, I couldn't even really pay attention to like the big Eve. Like I had no reaction to it because I was having a reaction to literally every fucking other thing that was going on to the episode up until this point of being like, what the actual fuck?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, there's been times with Doctor Who where it's been like, what the fuck, and I just go with it. Like I just am like, like let's just see where it rides out. Like maybe don't question, just enjoy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've been able to force myself to do that. I could not with this episode. I just couldn't. I couldn't. I was like, what the literal fuck?
Is it because you were starting to, kind of like me with the big reset button, which I knew was coming? Was it the sense of, were you just getting frustrated by the fact that you knew that there wasn't going to be an explanation for a lot of the things that you were calling into question? Was that what was kind of frustrating you and being like, oh, I guess I have to come up with the answer because I don't think Russell's going to give me the answer, so I guess I'm going to have to come up with it.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of that moment of like, I was just trying to enjoy the visuals, honestly, of like kind of like just focusing on the design. And then being like, so the only thing that is going to save this episode for me is this mystery with Ruby. Like, hopefully we're going to get finally an answer as to all this other shit that's going on, right? So I'm like, okay, just hold out for the answer. And I think I just reached a point, especially when he lands on the planet to get the spoon. I reached a point of like, I don't think Russell is going to give us anything. Like, I think I just at that moment had to like emotionally detach from everything that was happening. Because I was like, I don't trust Russell one single bit at all.
Yeah.
So I just like didn't. I just like, honestly, it sounds so dramatic because it's just Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But it felt like an out of body experience. I was just like watching myself watching this and just trying to think of better times.
Yeah, it was like, I get it, like, because it's exactly the same thing with me in terms of like we're doing this again. Obviously, I just got flashbacks to, what was it, Last of the Time Lord, Sound of Drums, like when that happens, and you're just like, at least with that time, we didn't know we were just going to get a big reset button at the end of the episode, so that would set it all back. Even though I have problems with the final of that as well, but it's just that sense of, I both knew where it was going to go and also knew that I didn't care where it was going to go. I just didn't think when it got to like kind of halfway through the episode, I was like, I can already tell this isn't going to be satisfying wherever we're going. And I hate to be in that frame of mind. I hate to be there. I'm second guessing what's happening before it's happening because it feels like I'm going in too negative. And I did exactly what I said last week. I'm going to go into this episode with middle of the road expectations. I'm not expecting wonderfulness. I'm just like, just give me something that is satisfying. And that was not the case. And that dread just kept getting bigger and bigger as the episode went along, where I was just like, I know this isn't going to be satisfying. Wherever we're going, I just know it's not going to be. And I got very distracted whilst watching the episode because of that.
I just think it got worse and worse and worse as it went on. And I was like, no. Like, I wasn't even going into it being, like, when I watched the episode, I wasn't going into it being like, this is going to be amazing. I feel like throughout the season, my trust with Davies has just not, like, I just, my opinion. And I was trying to just watch it through the eyes of people that were like excited about it, you know what I mean? Like being excited for them, like people who are so happy to have Davies back, and like trying to be like, okay, like maybe just stop being a hater. Like maybe just go into this and just,
I was the same. Yeah, I was exactly
the same.
I
don't want to sit here and do another podcast episode where we don't like something. It sucks doing it. Like it sucks like not enjoying it, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel good to come here and only have negative things to say. It sucks because I'm such a positive person. And then each minute it got worse and worse and worse, and I was like it just got worse. Like it just consistently got worse and worse and worse throughout it.
Exactly the same frame of mind for the most part. It's like I want to understand, like I want to be in that headspace of the people who are enjoying it. But the thing was, once this episode was done and as reactions and reviews and all of that started coming out, even the people who I've seen being really positive about this season were left kind of dumbfounded by what this finale offered. So at least at that point, I was like, okay,
yeah,
I think I'm kind of safe then on the fact that, like, because there's been episodes in this season where we've both been like, oh, everyone really enjoyed this, but it just didn't click with me, and are we in the wrong? Is the show just not for us right now? But at least with this episode, even some of the most diehard, they've been loving this season, I've seen them being like, that wasn't it.
Yeah,
that wasn't it. So I feel like even when those people are starting to go like, I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
and it's the one, right? Like this is the one to bring in Americans. This is the one to re-kick off Doctor Who. This is the season to like kind of re-establish this franchise. And I don't think in all of my Doctor Who-ness, like I even went back to watch Capaldi to set a baseline for what bad is for me. And I was like, this, you know what I mean? Like I had to re-establish what I used to think was bad. I had to go back and be like, okay, was it really that bad? And that'll be another podcast episode. But like this is the first season that I can and this is heartbreaking for me to say this, but for my own mental health, like if Ncuti wasn't the Doctor right now, I think I would take a break. I think I would take a break from the next season because it's just like
he is
mentally draining.
Like, even though, like I've said, I've not, like, his Doctor just isn't clicking for me.
Yeah.
I can very safely say he and Millie are carrying this show
their fucking
on their
lives, honestly. Acting for their goddamn lives, and it's tragic to see them get this writing. It's just tragic.
like the one slip up performance wise for me is like literally what I just said with the line. Even though what his character has been doing throughout the season hasn't necessarily been for me, I can still honestly say the performance that is going into that stuff is solid. It's just the direction and characterization that they're putting it isn't necessarily for me. But otherwise, he's been solid throughout the whole thing.
Like, I don't even think Davies wrote him something that was tangible that he could be like, this is who I am as this Doctor. Like, truly, I feel like there's been times where the mannerisms and everything of the Doctor for that forever's acting it has been like clearly defined from the beginning. They knew where they were going with the direction. And like, I just feel like Davies was like, here you go. We're not going to explain anything. We're just going to kind of flip flop for you. And I can't imagine how stressful it is coming to Doctor Who as the first Black Doctor, as the first like openly queer Doctor, as your first time being the Doctor on top of it with all of this other bullshit, right? You don't even get your own real regeneration scene. You get to split it with someone who is a fan favorite, and then expect to make you an instantly lovable Doctor when you probably don't even know yourself where your story's going. Like Davies didn't give him shit.
I mean,
like Millie had stuff.
Yeah,
I feel
Millie's
like Millie
had
got
stuff.
Yeah.
That's
a phenomenal job.
I feel that's what I say. Like I feel like I've been more attached to Ruby this season than I have the Doctor. And I think like we said, there's a big part of that is just that we've had 2 episodes which haven't really featured the Doctor in it, which isn't necessarily their fault. It was just a situation that they had to work around, and like I said, I think Dot and Bubble did a good a job as it possibly could have done to navigate that.
Yeah.
It's just weird having those 2 episodes right next to one another, and the fact that we've got a shorter season and it's the situation isn't great. And I think on hindsight,
there's a lot of negatives happening.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, this whole one of the biggest things after this episode ended is that on the emotional level of the impact of the emotional ending, and it doesn't land. And I think one of the reasons it doesn't land is just the fact that there's only 8 episodes, 2 of which barely feature the main character. I think is a big reason why it doesn't land in the intended way that it's supposed to. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
We come to everyone's favorite scene, spoon collection, delivery of the spoon. So, as I understand it, just so we're all on the same page here, the spoon scene was going to be cut from the episode. Just so we're all aware how important this this scene that is part of the synopsis, the scene that Russell bigged up before the episode aired, the Doctor's got to go find this kind woman at the end of the universe to help him save the universe. This scene was nearly cut from the episode. It was nearly white. Like, it's like we don't need this. So yeah, we've got this scene where the Doctor goes to a distant planet that has been seemingly hit by the death wave, and this lady is still alive, is losing her memory and all of this stuff, and the Doctor's here because I guess he found some surviving metal traces, signal, something here, so he's come to see if he can come and get it. So much weirdness about this episode. So like this whole situation is I get it. There is a line in here where they say we can't use something from the memory TARDIS because we need it to be a physical, actual piece of metal. Even though that line was very clearly ADR'd in after the fact, because Ncuti is not looking at the camera when he says the line, and it is clearly dubbed in afterwards to stop people asking that question. Yeah, we just get this very I get it's Russell trying to set the emotional tone of what's happened in the universe. It does bring up the questions again as to how this death wave is actually working. Like, why is she still alive? Why is like they say that this death wave is perverse in its nature, and I read the line that she says that her child, because the death wave goes through the family, but I read the line as it killed the child first, so she had to watch it and then forget about it. Like, that's how I read the line as she said it. Even though it's
no problem with it, was just random.
It's a random piece of information, and it still doesn't really explain how she's still alive, and yet everyone else on the planet is dead. What we can tell. Yeah, so we just get the scene, which again, it's just there to set the emotional tone of what's happening, and that time has passed. Some time has passed since the Doctor and them take off, and they're now floating around the universe trying to find some metal. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, good performances from both people involved. There is emotion there. It's a bit grim, but I did find it fucking hilarious after we have this emotional scene and setting that tone. It just cuts to Doctor breaks spoon in half and jams it in the TV screen. Like, save the universe, everyone. Just jam this spoon in and we're done. And we're off to the next bit of the actual plot. So I can completely see why the scene nearly got cut. Because, like, you don't even necessarily need to have it there. Like, you could just have the monitor thing still working. There's not really an explanation as to why it stopped working. Really. It's just, like, it stopped working, I guess, so we need some metal to jumpstart it. How did you feel about the scene? Like, anything? Did it do anything for you at all, or?
I don't know. Maybe if the tone, like, I could see a world in which this scene works. Like, up to the breaking the spoon part. Like, it's adding the emotional depth of, like, it's tragic that this mother lost her baby. Somewhat remembers that she had a baby, but also somewhat doesn't. And then just happens to die right at the moment as the Doctor's there. You know what I mean? Like, something was holding out for who knows why, like, putting yourself kind of in the perspective of her being in this place of literally nothing and seemingly just waiting for something to take her.
Yeah.
Like, I could see the emotional depth it's trying to add. But then again, I already was emotionally disconnected because of all the other bullshit. Like, I could see why they put it in to add some depth there. And I think maybe if the rest of the episode leading up to this point had gone a little bit differently, it would have maybe hit a little bit better. But yeah, I don't understand the need for the spoon. Like, it was just another question, right? Like, after a solution. And yeah, it was just like another thing that made no sense regarding the spoon. And not have an explanation for why it even died in the first place.
I mean,
and I think that whole time,
yeah, no, I mean, it feels like, I don't know, at first when that scene happened, I was a bit like, is this something else that's going to come back around next season? Because, like, the way she was talking about, like, there was a man who explained what was happening, and the way she was talking about the Doctor's face, like, it felt like it was meant to be, like, some kind of link there to something, like maybe that they've met before or something along those lines, or you know what I mean? But the fact that the scene was going to be cut makes me think that maybe that isn't the case at all. Like it's so that I don't know. Yeah, it's I'm completely with you in that. I can see the scene working, especially if had it been set up better that there are parts of the universe still clinging on to life, but they were so desperately trying to set the stage that everything is being wiped out other than us because we got out in this memory TARDIS. So it feels so all over the place as to what is actually happening in the universe at this point.
Yeah, we're just clueless. And we stay clueless.
Yeah.
And we finish clueless, so...
yeah, basically. But as I say, from there, we smash cut to the Doctor jamming the spoon in the monitor, which is apparently broken for some reason. And that is presumably around about the point where the Tales of the TARDIS that we get with the Doctor and Ruby, with Mel asleep in the corner of the room, where they just sit down and watch Pyramids of Mars. Please God, anyone who watched this and this was your first introduction to Sutekh, go watch Pyramids of Mars, please God, please.
If you can find it, that is, because yet again, not everything is accessible.
Yeah, I mean that season isn't even out on Blu-ray here yet, so you can't even. I mean, there's the DVDs floating around. I mean, we've got the Tales of the TARDIS version that they released, which I'll talk about after we've talked about this episode. I won't go into super depth with it because I think we've both kind of decided that maybe Pyramids of Mars will be a story we actually do an episode about. Yeah, we get this. We have a little bit more of a history lesson about Sutekh and the Doctor's prior encounter. Ruby asking some questions, and there was a weird moment where I guess it's meant to lead into them like slowly losing their memories because of the death wave. I wasn't really sure if that's what was happening or not, but there's a moment when Ruby says, "Who was that bloke and that woman?" and the Doctor just goes, "Oh, they just travelled in the TARDIS." Which seems like a weird response. Just say that was you. You had the conversation in the last episode about regeneration. She understands that you change your face. You can just you can say it was you. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if that was meant to be them losing their memories or not. It wasn't very clear. Like many things in this episode. As I think we've established. And then from there we start to get a sense that maybe I did like actually Mel clinging onto Sylvester's jumper and rubbing Colin's Collins.
Collins joke.
You could call his coat a joke, to be fair. You could do that. Like I did like that moment. Like I say, I think Mel was really good throughout this episode. Possessed or being just Mel. She continued.
I don't believe that the Doctor wouldn't have noticed Mel was dying, though.
What, is late on?
Yeah, like fuck off. Come on. Come on, my dude.
You would have noticed a bit earlier than that, yeah. I mean, at least
like Mel is so like snappy and stuff. You know what I mean? It's so bizarre for Mel to be so docile.
Yeah, I guess he's just putting it down to what's happening. Like he kind of expects.
I don't believe it.
Expects that.
You can't make me believe it. You can't make me. I'm so sorry. There's no way.
Yeah, that's the only.
My brain
that's the only explanation I've got is that the Doctor just kind of puts it down to the fact that the death wave is because she's kind of out of time in the memory TARDIS. It's taking longer to get to her, but. Like the same effect is happening to her what is happening everywhere else. So yeah, from there we get another 73 yards connection in that we see the Prime Minister from 2046 who I guess, like, I saw some people say, was this just like a deleted scene from 73 yards that were being played here, or is this separate? Like, what is this? The way I took it is that this is like the 73 yards thing is meant to be its own separate timeline that, or pocket universe curse thing that happened to Ruby. And what we're seeing here, even though it's weird that it's triggered by Ruby touching the monitor, because technically she wasn't there for the real 2046 events. She was there for her own pocket universe version of events. So why, whatever, that's a whole other thing. Another question.
Why is it hard as choosing to answer her questions too?
It's, well, I guess because she's the one who created the memory TARDIS, I guess, is why, but I don't know. But essentially it sets up this thing that Gwilliam, Roger, in his reign as Prime Minister, set up a DNA, like a compulsory DNA system where everyone had to give a portion of their DNA into the government so they could be tracked and traced. I mean, it's a little bit further ahead, but it's just odd because obviously that's being shown as a negative thing, that, you know, maybe your government shouldn't have complete control over your track and trace and where are they at every given second. And, you know, it's being depicted as this is a sucky thing for a prime minister to do to their population. Yep. However, it is the thing that saves the day, which is just a very bizarre how to frame this thing that is a bad thing, but we are going to use it to save the world. Oh, it's such a weird thing.
Yep.
It's like, what are the optics on that? I just okay. There are none. there are none. However, that's
just not.
Yeah,
I didn't think about optics.
So with that information, the doctor says, okay, we got to go to 2046. We're going to hack into the system, and that way we'll find your mum. We've discovered at this point that the doctor's like, it's your mum. That's why he hasn't killed us yet, because he's been asking this. Why hasn't Sutek just killed us? It's because of your mum. He's just like all of us. He's just like the audience of this TV show. He's so hung up on the identity of your mother, he needs that information for some reason, because that's where Sutek's head's at. And then the doctor gets a whistle, which we'll come back to in a moment. Like he gets a little whistle. Now, I believe at this point, when they land in 2046, that was supposed to be the point when the memory TARDIS crumpled in on itself. And they might have even filmed it, but they just didn't have it in the episode. So then Ruby and the Doctor, Mel doesn't, but Ruby and the Doctor get a change of outfit into action hero Tomb Raider outfits somehow. That happens. I guess those memories in the memory TARDIS are more real than the metal memories that are in the TARDIS. So the clothes don't just disintegrate when they leave. What the fuck ever. Just saying. Just saying.
Don't pay too much mind.
Yeah. And then, as you say, from here, the Doctor touches Mel's hand, realizes that she's getting possessed, or she might have just died because Sutek has taken over her mind. Again, which is in Sutek's power set. We see that in Pyramids of Mars as well, so that's consistent. You know, some good visuals again, like the snow. Why is it snowing? No one knows. Nobody knows. No one ever will know.
Nope.
But it makes for a good visual, I guess. That's why it snows. So yeah, we move through this. I mean, I don't really have. Do you have anything to say about this whole sequence where we're doing all this? Because I don't really have much on it.
No. Like my only thing that I didn't believe was that the Doctor wouldn't have noticed Mel
until he touches her hand.
Yeah. You can chalk certain things up to what's currently happening in the situation. I just don't believe it to the full extent.
Yeah. I mean, I like Ncuti's performance there, because it's very kind of clear that he's noticed something in that moment, so he signposts that pretty well, and it's just a matter of what's he gonna do with this, like, because we know he knows, because he makes it very kind of clear that he knows. So what's he gonna do with that? And obviously we divert and we come back to that scene where after Mel leaves the room, presumably the Doctor just goes to Ruby like, right, listen, this is what we're gonna do. I've got a big bit of rope here. We're just gonna fucking lash that doggo up, okay? You just follow my lead. I just imagine that happening.
We're gonna put the dog on the leash.
Like that's what happened when Mel leaves the room.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we get to, like we were saying earlier, this even like it's apparently in the commentary track for this episode, which I've not got round to watching yet. I haven't had time, but Russell even describes this as a complete narrative collapse. Apparently he's self-aware enough to realize that this is weird, where Sutek uses the TARDIS to transport them across time and space back to where he is. Just brings up the question as to why do you even need to be standing inside the TARDIS if the TARDIS can just do that anyway? Just pull a lever and it just zaps people across time and space now. I guess you can kind of say, oh, it's because there's a death god on top of it, giving it extra power or something if you really wanted to. But the episode doesn't say that. It's just we need to get them from this place to this place, and for them, whilst they were filming this, the memory TARDIS had collapsed in on itself, so they didn't have that, even though that scene was cut. So they do have the memory TARDIS still for us watching it,
Yeah. Yep.
So it's just a mess. It's an actual mess.
They wrote themselves into another hole.
Yep.
And it's so funny, like, I remember, like, reading about Russell's kind of opinion back on that, and I was like, I didn't even care. I didn't even care. At that point, so much more bizarre shit was happening. I was like, I thank you for the apology, but, like, you have much more to apologize
Why does it snow, Russell? Why does it snow? Tell me that. God damn it.
Yeah. Yep. I truly didn't even care. I was like, you got so much more to apologize for. My good sir. Just so much more.
This is why, like, we were saying this, like, the fact that season 2's already filmed and complete and then being edited and stuff. Yep. It's like,
it
is just like that. If you hadn't, I mean, I get it. It's nice to be ahead of schedule and to be like, oh, we can plan around this now because we're this far ahead. We can do this and that. Great. But in terms of the narrative, the fact that you can't change anything really unless you go back and remount everything to add in explanations or take things in different directions, which is expensive and a crazy thing to go and do. So I doubt they would ever do that. It's I don't know. It's really just worth mentioning. Teleported to Sutek's unit chamber. Why Sutek didn't just use units advanced search systems to find Ruby's mother already, we don't fucking know. Apparently he's not that smart of a death god, I guess. And then we did get a little callback. I mean, his eyes should have turned green, but they didn't. I will not stop harping on about this. His eyes should have been green.
Eyes.
But we get a nice callback to the green vision with Ncuti being hit with the green vision and the same sound effect plays. So that's a nice little callback. It tickled my little fan brain. But then that leads us into the trap of the Doctor, which is, I'll send Ruby right up to this snarling god creature in the hopes that he doesn't just bite her head off. With this information that he craves, that he covets so badly. We don't, I mean, I guess he wants it because metatext, the audience wants it, therefore Sutek wants it, even though that doesn't make any fucking sense. But then Ruby is just gonna lash this boy up with a leash. A smart leash, though. It's a smart rope, just like we saw in Church on Ruby Road. However, Sutek does have opposable thumbs and could quite easily just detach said bit of rope. You know, just ignore the part that he's a death god with a lot of power in his pocket. He has hands. He can detach, and they stand there for an awfully long time between attaching the rope to him. And then the Doctor starts blowing on his whistle, which controls the TARDIS. It now has a fucking jetpack inside the center console that blasts through Harriet, like disintegrates Harriet. I think she's the only one who actually dies in the episode. And technically, the death count of the story is 1, and it's, well, 2 if you count Sutek, but I don't believe he's dead. Like, fucking...
No, let's be real. Yeah. It worked so well the first time.
Exactly. So, yeah, death count 1, and it's by the Doctor's hand. Just so we're all aware. One person who definitely dies, doesn't come back to life, is the Doctor blasting them with a jet engine. Yeah, look, here's the thing about the whistle scene. I've seen people complain about the whistle thing. It makes it very easy. Yes, it does. It makes the whole resolution to Sutek's storyline and that villain very easy, especially since it's been bigged up, and quite rightly bigged up, as a very powerful threat. And you're good. You could cough it up. I know it's emotional. It's emotional, Tash. You get it out of your system. She has muted herself, just so you're all aware, and I'm not helping the situation by making her laugh. There she goes. It's okay. Oh, the recovery path is here. Nope, she's gone again.
It's just so tragic.
So, my poor boy Sutek just dragged her out like this.
Poor Pupper's just
Poor
being
Puppers.
hooked on a leash.
He does look so sad when the
he
doctor
really,
when the doctor closes the door on him. He looks so upset, like he can't believe it.
Like, no.
Oh God, where were we? Oh yeah, the doctor's the one person to kill anyone in this episode. That's where we were.
Yeah,
and then
a big hero, and then everything was resolved, and then we were all happy, and we clapped our hands and sung Kumbaya.
Yeah, this whole like, here's the thing. I can, like, the doctor controlling the TARDIS with a whistle has happened before, but not like in this kind of over the top cartoonish kind of jetpack way.
Yeah.
And there was going to be a scene where Ncuti put the whistle into the TARDIS console, which was then going to create the loop how it appears in the memory TARDIS. I don't know if that really makes any sense, but I guess they decided, you don't really need it. The whistle's just there, even though this whistle is a memory whistle. So is it really a whistle? How does that work? Because the spoon in the TARDIS wouldn't be a real spoon, so we had to go find a real spoon. You didn't have to go find a real whistle. Fucking doesn't make any goddamn sense, Russell. Nothing makes sense.
Nope. Makes no sense at all.
So yeah, I am kind of in that train. Where it comes to defeating Sutekh, I'll tell you what I thought was going to happen. Okay. Where it came to defeating Sutekh.
Spill it.
Based on what happened in the previous episode. So in the previous episode, we had the time window scene where we see the Doctor show up in the past. Blah blah blah. He disappears. Points. And then Kate says there's another TARDIS further north that's landed, seemingly like when they go through the footage again and they see what was inside the cloud. So what I thought was going to happen, and this was how everything was going to link together, was that the Doctor was going to somehow trick Sutekh into taking the TARDIS back to Ruby Road, and that would complete the loop as to why there was this other TARDIS in the videotape for whatever reason. And then whatever the reveal was, like, the Doctor was going to figure out somehow who Ruby's mum was, and that person would be some kind of threat to Sutekh. I don't have all the details here. This was just kind of where I was imagining
your brain,
where it might be going. And like he would trick Sutekh into going back there, like, hey, if you're really obsessed with who this woman is, let's go back. You and me, let's go back and see, and the Doctor would knowingly know that in doing so would be the downfall of Sutekh, or it would exile him or time lock him somewhere, because they mentioned the time locking of that bit, or something along those lines. Something where it would neatly wrap around in a loop of time in some way, and that's how we would deal with it. And then you would have the scene where whoever this woman is would be revealed to Ruby because they're back on Ruby Road, and etc., etc., etc. Like, that's kind of how I thought this would all go. What we get is taking Puppers for a walk, and or not even taking him for a walk, tying Puppers up to the back of your car and driving as fast as fucking possible. It's how we deal with Sutekh in the end. And indeed, the line "bringing death to death," which I don't think adds up. I don't think that's how that works.
I think you could have played it more on, like, Sutekh feeling alive.
Yes.
So by nature of him, like, feeling alive, like, he in there was creating life, even though he didn't want to. Like, that would have played better. You kind of already hinted at that. I think that would have emotionally felt a little bit more real, of like, now Sutekh is also kind of in this conundrum of, like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, contradicting himself. But the death on death, I don't get it.
No.
Beyond them just wanting to show a cool visual, maybe. Like, the visual aspect of it, cool.
It's cool.
Beautiful. Yeah. I was just like, what? Like, I don't. We've been in the vortex. We've been there.
Yeah. That's where he's been this whole time. He's been clinging to the roof.
So now it's magically going to work.
Yeah.
And also, what stopped that from, like, the other times that he was in the time vortex, not immediately spreading death everywhere, if all he's got to do is be in the vortex and cause a conundrum? I don't understand. It makes no sense. It's dumb.
Yeah.
How did it work this time when it didn't work the last time? Like...
Yeah, pretty much. Audio
like
listeners.
The god of death, and put on a fucking leash and kick it out and be like, all right, bye.
Just for context.
You don't even get to find out the solution or the mystery.
Audio listeners,
Sucks to be you.
Tash pulled a face.
Sorry.
Tash pulled a face.
I did not pull a face at all.
As if to say, huh? No, you're right. You're right. The idea of the line of the Doctor saying earlier in the episode doesn't. It feels good being this alive, and like I say, maybe played that into the trick of how you hit the reset button, because that reset button was coming no matter what.
It made no sense, but I also feel like even wanting to figure out a mystery, right, that makes you alive. Like Sutek wants to know who Ruby's mom is. Like it seems like he's living in this moment purely for that, right? Like you could have just played on that. You could have just played on that, like a petty ass gossip queen.
Yep.
He's like, no, I need to know, and then I don't know. I made no, like that whole scene. I was just I was just like, do I even care?
It just seems it just seems too easy. It's the biggest thing. It seems like such...
We know it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We literally watched clips of the episode where it doesn't work. So now magically he burned up, seemingly dead, or maybe not dead, just burned up.
He ain't dead.
But why did it work this time and not the other time? Like what changed to make him burn up this time?
No. Yeah, I don't... That's the biggest reason why I don't believe he's dead. It's like, well, that's exactly what happened to him last time, so...
Yeah, no, it's not resolved.
I guess he doesn't have a TARDIS to cling on to this time, but it's already shown that he can survive in the time vortex, so... So, whatever.
I don't think he burned up.
It's the thing. I don't think they're going to use Sutek again, but I equally don't believe that would finish him off. Which is fine with me, because, like, fuck it. Someone else might be able to bring back Sutek and do a better job with him at some point. I mean, I doubt it, because obviously Gabriel Wolf is getting on in years, and would you want to do Sutek if you couldn't have him do the voice? Is a question.
Yeah, I mean, if they do bring it back, it'll probably be in the far distant future, and at that point, you probably have like AI technology to
like,
use the voice rights of Gabriel.
AI, got you.
I feel like that I can see them doing that if they want to bring him back. I feel like Pantheons just need to like
settle down.
Russell ruined it.
Yeah,
Russell ruined it. It was a cool concept, very threatening in its own conceptions. Just maybe spread them out across like 6 seasons instead of being like, here's this one, and here's this one, and here's this one, and here's this one. Like it just takes away from the Toymaker and Maestro too.
It does. It seems odd to, especially since it doesn't seem like it's going to stop. It seems odd to throw in your biggest threat of said Pantheon this early. All right, then, we get the bit where the Doctor says he has this whole thing about, I have to represent life if you represent death. Which, I don't know, I felt like that whole dialogue was slightly overcooked. It didn't need to be as involved as it was. Like, I get what he's going for, that it's the Doctor trying to... It's more the Doctor saying it to himself. Like, he's trying to prove to himself that I'm the opposite of you. And even though he is the one who just fucking blasted someone with a jetpack in the face. But that whole dialogue's felt... I'm a fan of Doctor speeches. I love a good Doctor monologue. I'm the hero moment. And, you know, Ncuti's had a couple of those in the season. He's had some good moments here and there. And for this one, I don't know. I felt like because it was the finale, Russell felt the need to go extra with it. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like it started to lose its impact a little bit because he just kind of kept going on.
It felt anticlimactic. And then everyone's still waiting for an answer. Like, I honestly would have tuned out at this point. We still needed the answer, which also is like,
It's also, I mean, I'm not interested to... I guess it's part of the progression of the Doctor's character in that he's, after a lot of the stuff that he's been through, we've seen it, like, he's less willing to resort to killing. We've seen that. I don't know if I buy the Doctor being as upset about it as he is when he's dealing with the literal embodiment of evil. You know what I mean? Like it's don't get me wrong. It's him personally. Like I don't want to be this. I don't want to be the person who deals out death to things. I get what they're going for, but when the thing in question, like I say, is the embodiment of evil and death itself. I don't know if it works quite as intended. And plus, we've seen the Doctor, like as you say, this is exactly how the Doctor dealt with Sutek the first time around, and he was pretty fucking fine with it the first time. He was like, "Yep, fuck that guy. He needs to be out of here. Like, the universe is better off without the person who wants to literally rid life, full stop.
From everything. Yeah.
I get the sentiment of it, but I just don't think it lands quite right.
Yeah.
Also, as I am watching the episode on my screen here, and we cut to the point where Ncuti's back in the original outfit for this story, and outfit watch, everyone, it's time. We're gonna have where does, because I don't think I mentioned it last week, this outfit is also Garbo.
The trench coat?
No, the leather jacket. The normal.
Isn't it like a leather jacket, trench coat?
The grease lightning one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
The grease lightning outfit that he has through the first half of the story, and then he puts it on again towards the end. I mean, again, looks good on Ncuti, rocks it. He looks fine, like a fine, handsome man. But I get it. They're on the Vespa. They basically chose this outfit because he's going to be riding on a Vespa for a little bit. That's seems the whole impetus for this outfit. But I know some people said it gave them kind of a Christopher Eccleston vibe, I guess. But I feel like Christopher Eccleston's one was a little bit more worn, and it felt like someone who had been traveling and had a kind of a battered look to it. Whereas this just feels very stylized catwalk version of that, where it's like, yeah, okay, he looks good in it, but in terms of a doctor outfit, which is a different thing, it's kind of like, all right. He just kind of looks like a guy rather than an alien, but okay. Again, nitpick, really, ultimately in the grand scheme of things, but we're doing outfit watch here, and
Yep.
By Jove, we'll do that Ncuti outfit tier list. Maybe we'll do that at Christmas time when we see what he's wearing for next Christmas.
Oh my god, we should.
We'll rate his outfits.
Yeah.
Anyway, continuing. Everyone's happy back in unit. Susan Triad is still alive, even though Sutek is gone, so she's still physical. She still exists, and they talk about how like she's got big brain, and Kate once again is like, hey, I got a job for you. You come work for me. Like, fucking Kate has turned into Ash Ketchum, is just trying to catch them all at this fucking point. Like, Jesus Christ. Settle down, Kate. I liked it. I do like it. I like establishing that we're bringing in regular characters on Earth. I said that. I stand by that. But it does, again, it becomes a meme onto itself with Kate just like, you doing anything? I'll hire you. Just walking around the streets of London like, you need a job? I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up. Come on. Come on.
Yeah.
anyone who's breathed the same oxygen as the Doctor at any point, just come on. Oh boy, here we go. And then we get what everything this season's been leading towards. The big reveal, the moment where we're going to find out, is Ruby different? Why does she make it snow? All of this stuff. And it is a white woman's Instagram is the reveal that we've all been waiting for. Right. Here's the thing with this. The idea that she was a perfectly ordinary human who had this tragic teenage life that she was going through with a stepfather who was not a good person, a teen pregnancy, took the choice to like, I've got to get this kid out because it's not a good place. I need to get them out. And the fact that she's just an ordinary human who was trying to do the right thing and all of that side of it. It is a lovely sentiment. And I get what he's going for here. I understand that this is also a response to The Last Jedi with like having that Rey was just a normal person who found themselves, which, as much as I'm not a big fan of The Last Jedi, I did like that part of The Last Jedi. I liked that they were like, hey, anyone can be the hero if they're willing to step into those shoes. I liked that part of The Last Jedi. I felt like it could have worked here, but Russell was the one hyping this up, not the fan base. The fan base was hyping it up, but because Russell was hyping it up.
We were just confused, and we were like, he's like, we're gonna give you answers, don't you worry. And you're like, okay, awesome. We're gonna figure out like who this person is and why they can fucking make it snow magically wherever they go, or why their song is broken. I don't know. Oh, sorry.
It's not even just in the fiction of the program. It's outside of the program as well. Like, I've forgotten what my second point was. It was probably a really good one, by the way, but it's fine.
Sorry.
It might come back to me.
I kind of, my emotions got the best of me. Apologize.
Oh, wait, I need to pause here because we'll come back to this in a second because fuck me, we can't, right. I'll come back to this moment in the episode that I'm currently just looking at. But, yeah, so in the case of The Last Jedi, the reason it kind of works is because it was really the fan base that took hold of Rey's parentage and wanted it to be something big and special and spectacular. There were a couple of little things in The Force Awakens that kind of suggested this and that, but nothing super solid. It just felt more like it could have just been like the Force chose Rey because she's the right person for the right moment, and she's going to step into those shoes to be that person. In this case, like you say, the snow coming through time feels very cosmic and weird, and that there's something with that. The song being weird and broken, like Maestro is like, what the fuck is wrong with her? Like, there's something weird going on with this kid that you're hanging out with. And that just permeates throughout the season, like that kind of stuff. And off camera, we've got Russell saying things like, the reveal of Ruby's mother is world-shattering. It's going to change everything. He literally said that in an interview. It doesn't.
Nope.
It doesn't change anything. I mean, it changes Ruby's personal situation. And, you know, like we say, season 2, she's still going to be there. That family dynamic presumably will be expanded upon in season 2. So, sure, whatever. It sounds rude and it sounds mean, but I just don't care. I don't care.
Like, I can get trying to compare yourself to Star Wars, right? Like, you have this big production, this and that. However, like, there's a big thing here that Star Wars has the Force, which has been written somewhat as a mystery, somewhat explained, for so much longer established that it's believable that the Force could just choose somebody, right? Like, it's the Force works in really weird fucking ways. We know that, and that's fine. That is the whole base and framework of the Star Wars universe is the Force. We don't have that with Ruby. We don't have that.
We have
we don't have
Russell.
we don't have something that's going to make it make sense that we could just write it off as, right? Like, it would have been totally fine if, like, I love the notion that it's just normal people and that normal people can save the day, because Ruby fucking carried and performed without fear so many times this season. Ruby just fucking did the damn thing. And for her to be ordinary and come from a really ordinary mother, that is totally fucking, that's cool. I get it. Cool. You wrote in all of this other shit. You wrote it in. Like, you knew this is where you were going. Why did you write that stuff in? Like, I watched a TikTok of kind of with writers and viewers having unofficial, like, contract, essentially. And that it's okay for, like, you to push her, like, push us to see new things for the show and this and that, but, like, Russell just flat out lied. Just lied.
That's what it feels like.
Just flat out lied. It's not a smart, whimsical, ha ha ha. It's not something that, like, I feel like you can bounce back from. He just lied. He wanted views, so we wanted to add this extra surprise element in because his plot was fucking weak. And it didn't work. It didn't work.
No, it's
like I like was so upset. I still am very upset about it.
Yeah, it's like it's because he did. Yeah, I can't. It's just like the snow, the music. Why is this shadowy figure in the time window, like, why is it shadowed on top of the hood and everything?
No one points to a street sign like that at a time where you have no fucking idea what the camera like. Does she know there's going to be a camera there and she just no one does this. You would write a fucking note. You would write a note. You would write a note and be like, hey, I'm, like, so sorry. Baby's name is Ruby. As if anyone would watch that footage that you can't see shit on and be like, oh yeah, she wanted to name her Ruby. But no. Just no.
I also
thought fucking garbage.
Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone who wants to correct me if I'm wrong about this.
No!
Oh, you vanished. I'm here. I'm still online. I heard you.
I'm here too.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I'm here.
You're back.
Yeah.
That emotion. It senses your emotion. It's just like, I can't with this. I heard you say no though. You vanished and you turned into Sutek for a moment there. You were went into the vortex.
I am
no!
the bad guy now. I am the bad guy now. Literally,
my
just
God.
fucking destroy Russell's writing. Like he just lied.
He did.
And there's no justification for it. I don't care if I'm gonna seem like a Davies hater. I don't care anymore. I don't care. I don't care. You're entitled to your opinion that you're really excited that Davies is involved again, and we should have Davies involved. I don't think so. I think he needs to go. His time has come. I support him. I love that he has been able to incorporate queer characters. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's very important for him too. I don't mind him as a person. Like, I get why you're incorporating these things. Your writing is so subpar to what you're hyping yourself up as, and it's just not good. It's just not good. I don't think you understand what you're doing. Don't write a plot that you don't understand what you're doing, or don't go so fucking big for something that you don't know what you're doing. It's okay to be like, hey, you know, I'm not too sure on the direction, so let's maybe keep it a little bit more dialed back. Just a little bit more dialed back. That is totally fine. It's okay to give yourself space to find out what the fuck you want to do with this doctor. Just don't do that. Don't lie and write stuff in. Like, you just dug yourself a grave every episode. I hate what you've done. And if you're the reason we never get inclusivity again in Doctor Who, I'm going to fucking riot. I'm going to fucking riot.
She will do that.
Because, you know, people are going to use this as an excuse. Like, I've seen it. It's going to happen with the fucking female doctor. Like, it's just heartbreaking back to back. I think is even worse. I'm just breaking as a person.
It's currently happening.
I'm breaking.
It's currently happening with the Acolyte.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
What's weird about side tangent? What's weird about the Acolyte? And I was watching it, and I feel like it's kind of middle of the road thus far as a show. But in terms of the criticisms I've seen about it, like everyone's saying, like, it's all about these lesbian witches. It's all about, like, they list off this reel of like political issues they have with it. And
I'm like, no, it's just fucking move on with your life. It's really no.
But the thing is, the show isn't even about that. Like, they're talking about all of this stuff, and like when I watched it,
you're talking about aliens in fucking space. Why do you care who they fucking love?
But
oh my god, I'm gonna lose. I hate society.
But like, literally, the show isn't about. It doesn't bring up any of those political things whatsoever. It's just like,
I also love the witches being incorporated into the Star Wars universe. Like,
it's just
that is how it's done well. That is how it's done well. Davies, you want to take God? Sorry,
it's just
interrupting you. I'm gonna shut up.
It's just that show, when watching it, is like, my response to it was, oh, there's a diverse cast. That is literally it. Like, the show itself has nothing. It's not saying anything about the fact that there's a diverse cast. There's not. It's not making a point. It's just exactly. It's just existing. And I'm like, this is like, there's actual issues with this show. The ones that you're pointing at, that they aren't issues. They're not issues at all. And
I just don't understand society. Like, I just fucking get over it. There's so much bigots. There's so many bigots. It's just so many. And when you have a moment to incorporate something, like, just I don't know.
Yeah, no, but you're right. I think I understand what you're saying because I'm seeing that in live action with the Acolyte right now. In that,
with something that is way less incorporated.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's there's some stuff in the Acolyte that isn't super strong writing wise, but people are taking that and using it as a springboard to attack the fact that it's a diverse cast, that there's lesbian witches. Like that's the biggest problem. Like,
they're fucking witches and
No, so no, I completely get what you're saying. I completely get what you're saying with that.
And it's back to back. It's just witnessing it back to back and just knowing.
I mean,
knowing.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I've cut myself off from these circles of that portion of the Doctor Who fandom, because I've just been like, I am slicing all of that out and removing it from my internet feeds, and I'm just gonna look for the people who, you know, equally criticize and applaud the show in all its forms, but it's always because of what the show is actually doing, opposed to any other stuff. So I haven't seen it as much with Doctor Who recently, but that might be because I've put in the effort to avoid that side of it as much as I possibly can. Whereas I don't know, maybe because Star Wars is also, you know, let's not like be around the bush. Star Wars is a bigger property, and therefore there is more eyes on it around the world. So that probably has a factor on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look for it either. To be honest, I don't look for reviews. I like with Acolyte, I haven't seen reviews. Don't like side part. The only reason why I'm watching that is because I really appreciate the actor who's playing Saul
Mm.
and how he learned English for that role specifically. Like, really appreciating his acting. Anytime I bring up Jodie, just the reaction I get from people, like it's those type of things that I know is going to happen again, and I'm like,
yeah,
like I don't get the closed-mindedness, and we're trying to be open-minded about the writing in this, and like I will say, all of our criticism isn't about the inclusivity; it's about just the fucking plot not making sense. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I feel this is a whole separate episode of the podcast you could do.
It is. It is. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
You know my opinion. It's just
yeah.
I'm heartbroken for bad writing ruining future opportunities, and I'll just leave it at that.
Fingers crossed.
It's happened.
Fingers crossed it doesn't happen, but we'll see, I guess. Like, it is that thing, like, there's a lot of people, we'll promise everyone, folks, we'll get back to talking about the episode in a moment, but there is a lot of feeling in the air if Disney doesn't see the performance it wants from Doctor Who because of this deal.
Yep.
Where does the show end up from there? Will the BBC, because obviously they won't have the budget they've currently got for this season and the next season, if Disney say, okay, we tried it, it's not working out the way we wanted it to, so we're going to separate ties from this, will the BBC then decide, okay, well, I guess we'll just go back to making it on the smaller budget and doing it like we were? Or do they just go, you know what, ladettes, it's time. It's time. Maybe it's time to, because it's been on the air now for nearly 20 years. So it's like, do they just say maybe we give this another rest? Because we're at the point comparing it to the old show. We're at like Peter Davison in terms of years, which is wild to think about. So yeah, I don't know. It's we'll have to wait and see. There's no concrete on, or we can't super speculate about it as of right yet, because we're all just kind of hanging around waiting to see what Disney has to say about this whole thing. Anyway, side tangent. Back onto the rest of this episode, because we still have more of this episode to go through. Ruby's mum is apparently big into cloaks and hoods and strolling around at night and being a little mysterious teenage girl. Maybe it was a phase. Maybe maybe that's what she was into at the time.
If they even the figure even looked like a teenage girl.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, right? Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on that as well. Don't worry. It didn't feel like a teenager at all. But yeah, pointing at the sign, stupid, flat out dumb. Like I saw that moment and I was like the way it's revealed, like she's pointing and it's all this element of the Doctor says, I can't remember this moment. It keeps changing. Like time keeps changing. Still no explanation as to what the fuck that was. And I saw the moment where she was pointing. We're about to see what she was actually pointing at, and it's the sign, Ruby Road. And I was just like, why?
Cool. No one points that way. No one is there to witness your point.
No one's there to witness it.
I don't believe that she thought it was going to be recorded.
No. Like, that's the thing I wanted to know.
She's 15. She's so young, as if she's going to think ahead of time.
What wasn't the point of the time window? Didn't they say, I may have got this wrong, I don't know, someone can correct me if I did. They had to recreate the church side of the image from the CCTV because the camera wasn't pointing that direction. Like, didn't they say because of the snowfall, they calculated the image from the camera because they couldn't see anything because of the snowfall and because of where the camera was pointing. So even if she knew the camera was there, the camera wasn't even fucking pointing at her. So from what I recollect, I might have got that detail wrong. I'm not 100%, but I'm fairly certain there was a line in the previous episode about them having to recreate the image because of the velocity and where the snow was falling. But I don't know, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's stupid. Like, no one's going to be there to watch you point at a sign. Leave a note. Why wouldn't you leave a note? It's that simple. And the other thing that did come back to me in terms of the second point I was going to make is Russell has done the storyline of it was just an ordinary person previously in the form of Donna. Like, the whole point of the Dr. Donna was like, isn't she so wonderful? She's got Time Lord brain in her, but no, the actual reason that she's so wonderful is because she is who she is. and because she is human. That it wasn't because she got superpowers. It's because she is who she is. So we've already done this rodeo and better, even though I have problems with that finale as well. It's better than this. It's certainly better than this.
He didn't have to write in the other shit, and it would have landed. It would have landed. Maybe like not 100%, but it would have done something. I refuse to believe that Sutek couldn't discover this ordinary woman's name, and that Ruby is totally ordinary. Like, it all hung on this.
Yeah.
With no real explanation still, honestly.
And again, the sentiment that the Doctor says, the reason it's important is because we make it important. Again, it's an interesting and good sentiment, but it only works if you let the audience themselves get to that point. The fact that he built it up in his writing, in the stories, like, completely obliterates the entire point that he's trying to make. So
100%.
Yeah. Then, with the help of a time machine, the Doctor and Ruby find Ruby's mum having a coffee. They have a conversation about whether it's right or wrong for Ruby to go and introduce herself. The Doctor, for me, makes some pretty good points in the fact that if she wanted to find Ruby, she probably could have done, and it's actively made the choice not to. And I think there was an opportunity to kind of make that more understandable as to why she might not have done that, but we kind of don't. She just kind of says later on in the scene or the episode, she says, "Oh, I thought this Christmas maybe this would be the one, and then I didn't." Okay. Okay.
Yep.
But yeah, like, here's the thing about this whole sequence as we go through all this. Millie delivers a really, really nice performance throughout this whole part. Like, I completely believe that she is an orphan child coming face to face with her mother for the first time. It's a really, really good performance. The problem is that, again, it's just Ruby talking at her mum. Throughout that whole scene. Like, there's not really a back and forth going on. It's literally just Ruby saying things, and it felt, this is going to sound like this is a reference and probably only people in the UK will get, it was very soap opera-y to the point that it reminded me, not in the same shouty nature of the scene, but in the UK there's a soap opera called EastEnders. There's a very famous scene where two ladies are having a spat, and the scene ends famously with one of them going, "But I am your mum." And the whole thing just reminded me of that. Like, it's obviously not quite to that level, but it felt so... Like, here's the thing. Russell's really good at doing domestic storytelling. Like, he's really good at that stuff. And it just felt too much... After everything that just happened, we just dragged a dog through a time-space portal, and now we're at a scene where we've got a very soap opera-y, like, very overly emotional charged scene. It's just like these questions, and you're just sitting there watching this unfold, and you're like, what about the snow? What about the snow, Russell? What about everything? And yeah. I don't know. How did you feel about Ruby's choice to go and talk to her mum in the first place, and how that all is handled? If you could, if you could try and separate the questions you have about, well, this isn't the mystery I signed up for. This is, or if you separate all of that stuff and just look at it as a scene of an orphaned kid finding their mum again, and the involvement of the Doctor within that.
Yeah, I mean, so my response, someone who very much like with Dot and Bubble, like, we can give our opinion on this, but we are not the demographic that has gone through this experience, right? Yes. So I can't, like, when I'm giving my opinion on this, like, obviously I haven't had to go through this, or I haven't had to go through life, like, wondering why my mom didn't want me, or who she was, like, there's so many questions that are probably going through Ruby's head that people who have gone through similar situations or been adopted, like, probably have a better say on how this scene would play out. And I want to respect that. So I just want to get that flat out. Like, this is the opinion of someone who's never gone through that experience. So I can't speak through the emotions, really. But, like, I just, it was very nonchalant. It was just very anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Like the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
I found it hard to believe that it would take place in that kind of casual setting, and that I like it was just weird. I can get, like, if you run into them, like, I can get immediately starting blurting everything out. Like, I feel like you would be overwhelmed,
Mm.
and you'd either just not say anything, or you would just be like, word vomit, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that seems believable to me. It's just more so like the doctor's approach of not being able to go back in time and all of that to try to see who Ruby's mom was, to then just be like, okay, I'll drop you off at a coffee shop. And he does give a little bit of worry, like, like he is speaking that, but it just felt like it felt too human for what he said. Like, it felt like, why would, I don't know. I don't know. I think the doctor's performance in that scene was a little bit weird. It was just quick. It was a quick way to wrap it up.
Yeah. I mean, the doctor points out that effectively you've cheated by finding her.
Yep.
And it also plays into the fact, why was it so hard to find her?
Like, you're telling me with all of the data that UNIT had that you couldn't look, because I know, like, maybe she didn't give birth at a hospital, right? You know what I mean? Like, there might not be birth records, but I'm sure she went to some sort of appointment, between getting pregnant and having the baby. And you're telling me the doctor and UNIT wouldn't have the forethought to look, if they have all these fucking records, to look through the records of, like, appointments around that time.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like there's so many more ways to kind of narrow this down.
Because they made
a little bit.
Well, it's the part of the mystery thing. It's the part of the mystery thing that we haven't talked about so much because we've been so focused on, like, the supernatural elements. It's that they made it very clear in Ruby Road, Church Ruby Road, and sort of early on that, like, her mum has left no footprint whatsoever. Which is, like, clearly not the case, because she's got a white woman's Instagram account which gets blasted on the screen. And she points at a sign and to make sure she's captured on footage. Yeah. Like,
none of it made sense.
Yeah, like, fine, fair enough, because I get there are real situations where people do not find their real parents. For whatever reason that might be, that happens in real life. But when you're introducing the element of UNIT and all of their technology, all of their files, especially this hyped up...
And a time-traveling fucking doctor.
Yep, and
aliens.
A god.
And gods.
And it's like... it does start to feel a bit very, like, none of you fuckers could find her, huh? Maybe we should employ some new gods. Maybe we should employ new people.
It felt so unbelievable, especially if you're bringing in a younger generation like Rose and Morris, who probably understand how social media works. Maybe Kate doesn't. That's totally fair, But, like, you have tech-savvy individuals, extremely tech-savvy individuals, and I think there's more than one way to nail someone down. And I just, like, I'm not gonna get too carried away because this could be a 7-hour episode, honestly. And it's because we're passionate about the show, and, like, I don't that I see Ruby immediately spilling everything and kind of being overcome with emotions. It just felt like a rush scene, and I just felt like everything else had exhausted me so much.
Yes.
That I was just like...
Yeah, I feel like
you know what I mean?
I needed, because we were going with this angle of her mum being an ordinary person, I wanted to get a sense of who that ordinary person was. And I didn't get that at all. All I get...
No, and it's seemingly
all I get is, that's Ruby's mum. That's it.
Yep.
That's her entire personality.
Seemingly a part of the family now. Yeah. Right? Like, a part of the family.
Like, I need to know who she is, and if she's... Like, I mean, I guess, like, again, this is something that's going to get explored further in the next season and stuff. And obviously we get the establishment that they found the dad as well, and how that's going to play into it. But again, I think we've only got another, like, we've obviously got Christmas, and then we've got another 8-episode season, and we've got a whole new companion coming in. Like, are we gonna have time to do to do all that?
I have no faith. I have no faith that he's gonna explain anything. Like, he thinks he's wrapped up in a bow, chef's kiss. All good. 99% of questions answered. I don't think we're gonna get any of that, and that sucks. It sucks. I think it sucks just knowing that this feedback is coming after the second season. You know what I mean?
It's concerning, because, like, there's nothing feels resolved, even though we're being told everything's been resolved, and yet we're also being told that this storyline will continue. Like, will we see we find out more about Ruby's actual birth mother and father and what sort of people they are, and like, but do we have time for all that when we've got a new companion to introduce and whatever that storyline's going to be, and all the other new storylines that will probably be getting introduced, and the villains, and it seems like a lot. It seems like a lot to be jamming into another 8 episodes when it felt like this wasn't enough to do what they were doing here. So yeah, it's concerning. It is concerning. But as we move on, we get the adoptive family and the family getting together, seemingly happy as Larry, and then we get the Doctor and Ruby saying their farewell, which, firstly, I would say, seeing Ncuti in that outfit again, the Ruby Road outfit, I was like, hey, there's the Doctor. Not to harp on the outfit situation, but it felt...
I do love that outfit, though.
Yeah.
I do love the outfit, yeah.
It felt, that outfit, like, my 2 favorite outfits are that outfit that he wears here and in Ruby Road, and the one that we see in Dot and Bubble. The Dot and Bubble one is a very traditional Doctor look, whereas which works on him very well. And then this outfit feels like the traditional Doctor outfit with the Ncuti splash of paint on it. Like it feels like it's the Doctor outfit, but with the injection of this version of the character put onto it.
2 chains.
Two whole chains.
2 chains.
2 whole chains. But no, but seriously though, when he was leaning on the
Very
console,
suave,
leaning on the console in that outfit again, it felt like, oh, I'm watching the Doctor again. It's crazy. Like maybe it's just my small-mindedness that the outfit kind of has that much of an impact on how the character feels when you just see them, not even when they're saying or doing anything, but just when you see them visually standing there or whatever it might be. Like, it just instantly becomes more like, oh, I know who that is now, weirdly, in a weird kind of way. But anyway, more to the point of the more important aspect of this scene is them saying their farewells. Like, Ruby's got a lot on her plate, so understandably, it would feel weird if she stayed, based on everything that's just transpired. So the scene makes sense in that context, that she has to go and do her IRL stuff. Oh, in real life stuff. Sorry, I should be more clear about what I mean with that. She's got to go handle IRL, baby.
On God.
She's got to go deal with that. However, again, it's the fact that I feel like I barely know the two of these in terms of their dynamic together and what their friendship is and how long they've meant to have been together and how emotionally connected they are together, because we've only had 8 episodes. 2 of them, they're barely together and this whole scene just falls flat because of that. Like, again, 2 very good performances once again, but it just feels like, but she only just got here a couple weeks ago. So excuse me if I'm not like bawling my eyes out right now, because it feels like it feels like you're saying the most emotional farewell to someone who you've maybe met at work for the first week, and it's got to Friday of that week and you've got to say goodbye for the weekend, and having this kind of reaction. And it feels so weird. It falls so flat because of that.
And you could have written in something to give us a concept of how much time, right? Like there's not too much time consuming ways to add that in. It exists. If you could sprinkle in all the other freaking fluff that you're not going to answer, you could sprinkle this in as well. I mean, and I think like we just
yeah. I mean, there have been a couple of lines earlier on in the season to sort of suggest that they've been together for like 6 months, 8 months. Like they've been doing some traveling, and obviously with the Susan stuff, they sort of showed a few different versions that we didn't see to sort of indicate that they've been to some other places and stuff. So it's there, it's established, but just as a viewer, it still feels like I've only just seen them together.
I feel like you can say that it's been 8 months, but that doesn't imply like what's happened in those 8 months. And I just feel like there's small ways to show clips of like what made them bond throughout their journeys.
Yeah, that's the key thing. Like, I don't know what their bonding experience has been. So the fact that the scene is about ripping that bond apart when we haven't really got a sense of the foundation of the bond in the first place, that's kind of why it falls for me.
Yep.
But good performances again, and it felt kind of doctorly that the Doctor can't say "I love you" back. Like he can't. I mean, I think originally
our emotionally healed Doctor can't say "I love you."
Yeah, he did. I think they did film it that he said it back.
Yeah.
But I think they cut it out because the scene just played better to not have it. But then he turns and lets it all out. But I think it's because he's trying to save her the pain of, rather than, it's not about him not showing it for his own sake. It felt to me like he's not showing it because he doesn't want her to be more upset, or to feel guilty.
Yeah, that she has to stay. Yeah, definitely. Kind of on her own journey, has things to discover and stuff, and he doesn't, which is very Doctor-like. Yeah.
I know, and we'll rattle along because I know we've both got things to be we've both got things to be doing. But then we get Mrs. Flood at the end teasing us about something, about terror, and she's dressed up as Romana for some reason. Fuck knows why. Because
I just if they're gonna do that, it'll be interesting. I'm just gonna leave it there when it comes to Mrs. Flood. I feel like Mrs. Flood has potential, from what we've seen. There is very sassy acting there. And it has potential. And I want to see, I think Mrs. Flood could be a great addition, whatever or whoever Mrs. Flood is.
Yeah.
Please just don't ruin it.
Don't fuck it up. Right?
That was probably the only good thing I liked about the whole show was Mrs. Flood's fucking attitude, honestly.
Yeah,
that's a pro.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I was leaning towards her being a Time Lord of some description. I don't know anymore.
I think she definitely got swapped out at some point. Her personality changed so much.
Yeah,
she got swapped out. I'm still holding on to that.
I know some people have said she was dressed in a Clara-esque outfit previously, and now she's dressed in a Romana outfit for some reason. It's too on the nose to not be a reference to Romana's outfit, because that outfit is very specific. I've seen some I've seen some people be like, she's just wearing white, don't overthink it, she's just wearing a white. No, that's clearly a reference
after
to
this season. After this season, all the bullshit Russell's made direct points to. Sorry.
No, it's true. It feels too.
I'm emotionally carried away.
It's too pointed. It's too much of a. That's the exact outfit Romana wore in her first story. There's no getting away from that.
No.
Unless it is just I don't know. And then people said,
I don't think it's random. I don't think it's random. I mean, this was rumored when we first saw Mrs. Flood.
Yeah, it was. It was one of the ones that people said, but then also people like the Clara thing, because she says "clever boy," which is, I think, grasping at straws a little bit. But I don't know. There's something weird happening. It's anyone's guess. I don't really have a solid theory to really speculate about, but could be a god, could be a Time Lord, could be an amalgamation of something to do with the memory TARDIS and past companions. Who fucking knows? So I just hope it feels more like a good payoff than what we got in this episode overall, whatever it turns out to be. But good news, Tash. On that good news, Christmas is
we get Muffet for Christmas.
Yes, that's what it is. We get Muffet for Christmas. Look, Christmas. I always say this. We can take Christmas episodes with a pinch of salt. They can be a bit sillier 100%. and all of that kind of thing. So you know what? Hopefully he does good, and he can bring some Christmas joy to all
Hopefully
of
we'll
us.
be here celebrating it. We'll have themed drinks, and we'll just be happy beans.
Yeah.
We'll be happy beans.
Yeah, hopefully. All right. I feel like we went for a journey here today, talking about the Empire of Death. In terms of rating it, because obviously we've opted to rate it along with the previous episode, so lumping it into one story. Last week I gave Legend of Ruby Sunday a 6.5. So now I have to accumulate and combine, and where do I land? Where do I land putting it all together as one complete story? Do I hate this more than Space Babies, I suppose, is the question. That's the question I have to ask myself. Would I rather rewatch this or Space Babies?
Why are we in these fucking desperate ass times, my dude?
I know, right?
Why is this where we're at? Why? I'll never escape Space Babies.
I really like the first part. is the issue I'm facing. I really did like the first part, and despite my heart sinking about the fact everyone died at the start, so therefore I knew nothing mattered in this episode pretty early on, I kind of like the first half of this episode. It was like, I felt like there may be a way to have some consequence. It's really the latter half of this episode that really fucked with me.
My score, in case you don't want to be the bad guy, I'll be the bad guy first. Mine's a 2 out of 10.
2 out of 10, all things said. And I mean,
it would have been like there's only some parts that saved it. It would have been a 0 out of 10. Like, I think this is the first time I've ever just had this much of a response, truly.
Yeah.
And I have to think, because of my gut response that I gave out to people, I have to rate it according to that, because that's
fair.
Like, yeah.
No, like,
it just sucks. And the 2 is for poor Millie and Ncuti out here just fucking doing the thing and stuff, you know.
I also put a vote out there for Bonnie as Mel as well. I think.
Oh yes, yeah.
If slightly underused.
Yeah,
you know what?
Great.
I was thinking by the end of this episode, if fucking Ruby can't be around for whatever reason and she has to be a sort of on and off companion, just fucking bring Mel back full time.
I really enjoy Mel. I love how Mel balances out the Doctor and is just like, you stupid little bitch. Honestly, that's what she's like. Stop fucking
like, about.
She's like the character with the no capes slapping. Yeah, that's her.
Yeah,
the Doctor and getting his shit together.
I would honestly be fully on board with just having Mel back as full-time companion. And honestly, it's weird to me the Doctor Who hasn't done that before, where you just bring back a companion who could potentially, because it could be interesting. It could be interesting to have them paired with a completely different Doctor who is removed so far from their previous version. Anyway, that's a whole other point. Okay, my rating overall, Empire Death and Legend of Ruby Sunday, and one thing, I'm going to put it right there with Space Babies and say 4. Fuck it. I'm going to say 4, because I think, like, say, performances are very good, visuals are very good. I think this episode was better directed, even though it's the same director, but I think he had a little bit more panache going on, like the stuff with Mel freezing and all the cool visual stuff that ultimately didn't make any sense narrative. At least he made it look good.
Yeah.
Murray's music was mostly good, other than the weird whimsical moment, like we said earlier on. Like, I don't know what that was about, but like, production stuff is very good across the board. The performances are very good. It is just the script, but ultimately the script is king. That is what is guiding everything that's going on, and it just, like I say, the emotional response to this finale is like, there's been other finales in this show throughout my life where I've had, like, I don't know, like, there's been like little things that hurt, that I was like, that hurt it for me, but this episode was like, this is just not good. It's just not good. It's like nothing is paying off, nothing is emotionally resonant. It's like, and I know we earlier on in the season said maybe are we not the right audience anymore? But then I remember, look, I've been in my 20s and I've not changed that much from my 20s while the show's been on the air, and I've still enjoyed it. So
if I can be on board with the Timeless Child shit and stick through it with that, as how insane that was, I would say I am of the fan base that is pretty open-minded when it comes to the Doctor.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need this season. So I don't think it's that we've aged out.
No.
I don't.
No,
I just think it's just poor writing. I think it's poor writing. And like this, for someone coming from like who could get along with Jodie's seasons to see this, it's I think it just says a lot. And I think I have to rate it this finale according to how I responded to other finales and just like my guttural response to people. And I think it has even more impact in my rating because I don't want this to be an excuse, like I said, to stop inclusivity.
Yeah.
And I can see it being an excuse. So my rating just goes into like
goes with that.
All of that. All of that.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's harsh and I feel like an asshole and it sucks. Like it sucks.
No, I feel like I mean, I was saying earlier today on the live stream that when taking the choice to make a podcast and review these things, I wanted to be as like diligent, I guess is the word, as possible. Like I don't, just because I have an emotional, like, I think this is bad, I still want to try and find the things that are good, because I feel like that's what a good critic of something would do.
Mm-hmm.
But this episode, like say, like you were saying, like even though I didn't like the Timeless Child stuff, even that didn't leave me in such a place of what the fuck is going on, man? What is happening?
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, definitely.
Like this, just in terms of quality of, like I say, the emotional resonance and the story beats and all of that stuff. Like whatever, it's whatever. that's the end of the season, everyone.
It sucks. It sucks.
we released.
We could go on forever.
We really could. All right, because of time, I know you're busy. We've got things to do. What I'll do, I will talk about the Tales of the TARDIS Pyramids of Mars along with when we get around to reviewing the original version.
We did it. We survived.
We got through season 1. I don't know.
Our worst fears came true. Which is very sad.
I do want to say there were some good spots within the season. As much as this ending was a wet fart of an ending, there were some good spots. Like I say, I enjoyed Dot and Bubble. I had fun with the Devil's Cord. I really liked Boom.
Yeah.
Like Boom is.
I think Boom and the Devil's Cord were my favorite.
Yeah.
That I can watch and just be content with.
And even though Rogue wasn't for me so much, I did appreciate that it did have a genuine sense of fun about it.
Yeah.
So there were.
Rogue as a character is a brilliant character. Yeah. We love when we see other witty individuals around.
So there were bright spots. It has felt like we've been struggling with the season, but I think it's largely the overarching storyline that we've been struggling with, and some of the tonal stuff and those sort of creative choices. But I do think ultimately this season will kind of fade into my mind as kind of forgettable as the years roll on, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah.
We'll be back, folks. Don't worry. Adventures in Who will continue, even though season 1 is now done with. We'll pop up when we get the time to do so. Like I say, we're going to do Pyramids of Mars. That will be an episode. I'm sure there'll be. I feel like we could come up with some way of picking a random episode out of a hat every so often that we can go back and look at. Or
I really want to do justice for Jodie, and I really want to do a review of River Song's story. Through her timeline.
Yeah. So we've got ideas. Cool. We've got ideas. It's just getting the time, sorting it out, doing the things. You know.
Just for Martin to decide he still wants to be my friend.
Jesus, you get someone to do a Doctor Who podcast with you, and they're like, "Are we still friends?" Yes, I wouldn't ask anyone else to do that.
You just don't like me anymore.
It's not true. Incorrect.
I'm just all alone.
Oh my lord!
Oh my
God! She's back to the Masked Singer. Everyone, she's going back. She's all right. We will see you or listen to you. Well, we won't listen to you. You'll listen to us if you're on Spotify. There are links if you're on YouTube. My stuff, Indie Geek Guys, all down below. /Tash. All of her stuff is linked down below if you want to check that out. We'll be back probably with a Pyramids of Mars review. Will probably be the next thing we do. So keep an eye out on the YouTubes and the Spotifys for when that lands. And let us know what you thought about the season. Let us know what you thought about the season. Both of us have Discords. We've got to think of a Instagram or a Twitter or something where people can actually.
Yeah, well, we have to create an actual.
Yes, we have to do. We have
stuff. Yeah,
something where people can be like, "I have a quick thought. I want you to know," so we can refer to people's thoughts and feelings at some point, because we would like to hear from people and all of that good stuff as well. But yeah, until then, everyone, have a good one. Go watch Pyramids of Mars and prepare for the next episode. You know, some solid good old fashioned Doctor. We will see you there on that one. Goodbye for now. Goodbye. Bye.